Texans Jaguars, at one point in the second half, it was 23-6, and then boom, boom, the Jaguars score a couple of touchdowns, which is important if you pick the Texans to cover the spread, as some of us did, and made it a best bet, as one of us did. Along the way, Trevor Lawrence left the game with a concussion that featured defending posture, which we've seen a few times in recent years because of this hit. Brutal. Twice the head gets hit by the forearm of Azeez Al-Shaair, and then the head hits the ground. Chaos ensues, multiple fights. They're going to have to pick over this film and figure out who gets fined, who doesn't get fined. Azeez Al-Shaair was ejected. A couple of other guys were ejected. There were two different fights. They threw a bottle at him from the stands. They'll probably fine that fan, as they should, and that person should be barred from any future games. We've seen discipline like that. We've seen prosecution when there's been interaction between fans and players. So that was a big, ugly scene. John Runyon is the guy at the league office who's in charge of determining discipline. I expect as soon as today there'll be a suspension. There's a history.
Yeah.
Al-Shaahir punched someone week 2, Sunday Night Football. He got fined for that. But even without that, this seems to be enough to get him suspended for one shot. This is one of the most brutal hits I've seen. This is almost as brutal as Joe Turkey Jones pile driving Terry Bradshaw in 1975.
We're in the era where we see this a lot. The quarterback slide.
No effort to put the brakes on.
No effort to put the brakes on. That to me is why he'll get suspended. That's why. In fact, he didn't put the brakes on. He actually said, "Let me step on the pedal a little bit more and throw a forearm into his face too to really add a little extra into the hit." Hey, Texans won. That was an unfortunate injury. The Texans won. I don't feel any better about the Texans after that game.
No.
Again, if anybody wants to go back and watch that game, Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones had people open everywhere. They just couldn't hit the damn throws. There was plays to be had when they were down 23-6, right? That game could have been closer, should have been closer. They finally capitalized a little bit towards later in the game. That's why they scored. But, yeah, the Texans, the offense is few and far between. It's Nico Collins, Stroud, Mixon. That's what they do. And the defense is starting to show some cracks as well. That concerns me going forward.
The AFC playoff field is basically set at this point. The 7 teams are set. The seeds are to be determined. But the Texans presumably will be the 4th. And whoever the 5th seed is probably going to make quick work of the Texans, even though the Texans beat the Browns last year in their home game in the playoffs. I feel like this year,
same Texans team.
They are the one team of the 7 that we seem to be relatively certain.
Yeah, I hear you. You're right.
Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Ravens, Chargers, Broncos, Texans.
Yeah.
The Texans are the which doesn't
definitely
belong in
the wobbliest. I agree there.
All right. But again, keep an eye on PFT today. We'll have updates on whether and to what extent there's a suspension coming out of yesterday's game. I expect there will be. The only thing that gives them some time, there's a little less urgency because the Texans don't play this weekend.
Oh, that's right.
But usually these things move fairly quickly. They need to make a strong statement after yesterday. And D'Amico Ryans, the coach of the Texans, said after the game, "We don't coach that." Okay, that's fine. What are you doing to coach that they don't do that? Because it happened. Even if you don't coach it, it happened. You didn't say sweep the leg, but he swept the leg. So that speaks to a deeper flaw where you've got to almost affirmatively say to guys, like you see something in practice that gives you concern. Hey, we gotta not do this, and we're not even close to this during a game. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.